Welcome to the It's Your Fate podcast. Conversations to guide your steps and light your path in deciding your definite major purpose. I'm your host, Lefford Fate. Hello, this is Lefford Fate, and in this series of 17 podcast episodes, which is hosted by my good friend and colleague Mike Saunders, you're going to learn about the principles to a positive mental attitude.
Well, welcome back, guys. Today we have with us Napoleon Hill certified leader Johnny Lloyd, who will be talking about principle number 16, which is budgeting time and money. Johnny, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mike. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I think that this could be a scary topic for some people because we're using that B word, budgeting, and that means we have to commit to something and actually maybe even write something down, and it'll remind us that we have a budget for both time and money. So I'm excited to hear what your thoughts are on this. But so give us a little background on yourself and what are we going to be in store with this principle? What are you going to focus on with budgeting for time and money?
Okay, first of all, just to give you a little bit about me, I actually have over 40 years of budgeting or wealth management experience. And when I say that, I'm including time, money, property, that kind of experience. And I didn't start there. So I started off being homeless. And I have degrees and certifications and all those wonderful things. However, what I want to encourage each one of us to do is it's more or less of taking our control back.
Yeah.
Most people don't look at budgeting as something that gives them control of their life. They look at it as a negative. So when we transfer that thought process, it causes us to build the tenacity, the enthusiasm to look at what we're doing to get us what we really want. And we use time and money that way. So that's what this principle means to me. This principle is probably one of the most powerful principles that take in all the other principles, because you need self-discipline and you need accurate thinking and you need all of those other principles in order to do this. But it can be fun. It doesn't have to be hard. It can be fun.
You said taking control back, and as you were describing that with enthusiasm, and that makes sense, one word that came to my mind was confidence. And I'm certain that as someone listening to this or working through this principle with, time and money is such a powerful principle. I'm sure that they will not get it right the first time, right? But as they work at it and have that confidence to succeed, I think that their levels will soar because they'll go, ooh, I made a baby step here and improved my whatever. I'm not going to make the perfect budget and money decisions day one, but as I'm moving toward that, can you speak to how relevant this principle is for today as it relates to building confidence and even just in the economy that we're in today?
Yes, actually. One of the things that you mentioned was confidence. And confidence is built based on habits.
Yeah.
When you look at the economy today, a lot of people have always thought that the government or someone outside of themselves, not everybody, but a lot of people think people outside themselves will take care of them in their old age. And now we have to look at it very differently. The relevant point here is we must see the person we're going to be in the future, our older self. And if we don't feed our older self by setting up, whether it be wealth management, whether it's setting aside money, whether it's buying property or something to feed our older self, then what's going to happen is we're losing our control, back to that word I used, because we're depending on someone else to take care of us, and the system has changed. So what was set aside to take care of us, we really need to establish and take care of ourselves. Everything is moving where they're depending on your 401k. You need to put aside money, all of that. And that's where time and money management or budgeting comes in, because it's really about life management, wealth management. And then the confidence is about, like you said, It's about starting where you are. Okay, right now you may not have any control. So it's about starting where you are and looking to see where you are and then building upon that. And yes, you're not going to be excellent the first time, but just like a child, when our children, and I have a grandson, so when he gets up and when he tried to walk, I didn't tell him, okay, you can't walk anymore because you fell.
Yep.
I allow them to go through that failing process, and the failing allows us to grow and become better. And as we become better, we see the results, and the results cause us to move out forward. But you need to have a definite purpose in it. And when we don't have a definite purpose, nothing in our life aligns to the purpose that we, whether it was created to be, to do, or our purpose for our money or the goal for the future. So we need to have a purpose and align everything to that purpose.
And having that purpose allows you to be pulled toward it and get up when you fall down, or persevere when you have that hard time, when you're thinking about that budget that isn't fun to make or adhere to, right? And I've heard the example like, hey, sit down and think about if you're, whatever age, 90 years old, and you're sitting on your porch swing and you're kind of sitting there with your significant other, family members, and going, wow, let me look back over my life and look at all these things, these touch points and high points in my life. And I sure have had a fulfilled life because I've experienced this, and this. Well, if that is the case, what will you have to do and be to have that, moment on the porch swing? And if you can picture that and create that, that then becomes your definite purpose, and you're working toward that. Have you found some of those things will help your people you work with and coach and consult with to kind of move through and really kind of, make it through those hard times? Because let's face it, you're not going to create that perfect budget and it's so easy and simple. It's going to be some work.
You're right. It is going to be some work. And yes, I have had a couple clients that has accomplished that. And the way that they did it is basically what you said. Most people do it through and I'm teaching a class soon about vision board. However, it's something you need to see with your eyes, and you go after it with all of your actions. Yeah. So the vision is the purpose, right? And you have to put a date on it, and you have to put an amount on it, and then you need to determine what you're willing to do in exchange for it. Because a lot of people want it. They want to be a millionaire, they want to be balling and all that wonderful stuff that they want to do, but they connect it to things. Yeah. And what I encourage people to do in the clients I deal with, I tell them to find out their why. Yeah. And ask that question 5 times to themselves and write out a deeper answer each time. And by the time they get to the 5th time, they find out the real reason they want the wealth, or the real reason they want better health, or the real reason that they are willing to go through this process of building the habit and like telling yourself no, discipline, to get to their end result. It may be swinging on a swing on your front porch that's paid for. Yeah, right. Look at everything in your life and say, I don't want to worry about that, or I want my child to be able to go to school, or I want to get out of debt. What is the reason, the purpose, and then looking at the process of what you're willing to do to get there. So that's it. And then this is the thing that I know about this principle. This principle, like all the other principles, are powerful because principles just work. You mentioned gravity. Gravity is a principle. It's not based on me believing in gravity. Gravity just works.
And you can say, I do not believe in gravity, and then step off of a large, height, and it's going to work. So, yeah, exactly. There's some things, believe it or not, you can believe it, it's still a principle. You cannot believe it, it's still a principle. That's a really good analogy.
Right. And that's why budgeting time and money is so important, because it's related to a principle. We don't get any more time.
Yeah.
We have the same 24 hours as Oprah or anybody else that's a billionaire, a millionaire. It doesn't matter how much money you make. I still have my same 24 hours. The question is, what am I doing with it?
You know, that leads me to my next question, which I want to ask. What are some misconceptions surrounding budgeting time and money? And you touched on it, and I want to preface that question by saying, I feel like people, and I hear this many times, I feel like people would say, I just don't have the time for that. Whatever that is. Let's say, budgeting time and money. I just don't have time for that. Yeah, but, if you really search deep, you sure took time to watch 4 hours of TV today, and you sure cruised on social media for an hour and a half. So finding the time many times is just being diligent in carving out your non-negotiables. So with that thought in mind, what have you seen some misconceptions are surrounding when people start working on budgeting time and money?
They believe it's easy, and if they do it one time, that will settle everything. The other misconception is that budgeting time and money is for other people, or they don't have enough money to really do a budget, so they don't think that control mechanism that they need, or they feel like they're in too much debt, and so they don't want to see it. So it's connected to fear.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't do it because they're afraid of knowing where they're at. But you can't. It's as simple as GPS. If I want to get somewhere, I have to tell that system, that global positioning system that works, where I am.
Yep. And where I want to go.
Exactly. So that's the key. So if I don't know where I am by budgeting, I surely can't get there. So the misconception, whether you're rich or poor, whether you work heavily in this principle, is that most people think I don't have enough time and I don't have enough money. But like you alluded to, it's not just about having enough. It's about dealing with what you have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really great point. Hey, so most of the time when you hear people teaching and coaching on specific things, principles that they've had success with, they probably have a little bit of a backstory and success, like, hey, I failed in this, and here's how I succeeded. So from your perspective, what positive changes did you experience after applying budgeting time and money to your life?
Well, I love the word that you said, backstory. My backstory, just a little bit about it is, and I alluded to it just a little bit about this orange shag carpet. I had a degree. I was already a degree. So having information is not enough. Being degreed is not enough. And having a good job is not enough to keep you away from this principle. So my backstory is I had all those things, and I became homeless. Now, there were some other dynamics, but I became homeless because I was running after things and not considering how much money we were actually making. So what happened is I learned this story the hard way. And my parents taught me, or, I had a better insight. And most of us do have parents that showed us things, good and bad. And they gave me great insight, and I knew a little bit about Napoleon Hill. So that was my first introduction of Napoleon Hill in the 70s. However, that didn't stop my process. So as I went through my process, I gathered more knowledge, and I found out the budgeting system because I'm an accountant, so the budgeting system I learned for the government is actually the same budgeting system I need to implement in my house. So it caused me to do some things. And what I found out too, Mike, is it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you spend.
Yeah.
So if you make $1 million, but you spend $1 million in one, you're still
You're broke. Yep.
You're broke. So it's not about how much money. So that's one of the things that I learned. And what I learned beyond that is I have to stay diligent and that every decision I make may not be successful, but I need to understand the process so that I can recover.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really, really good point, because most of the time people have felt that personal pain, succeeded, and then when you work with people, they can know that you are coming from a position of love and wanting to help them out, to help them avoid some of the pain that you went through. So I love hearing that backstory. Hey, can you think of an example how you've helped a client specifically to overcome some of this? So like you did some things in your life, but what's a good example of a client, like maybe without mentioning names or details, but, someone that overcame and now they are experiencing, some relief and success?
Right. I have two clients, same kind of situation, doing the same thing. One overspending, the other was not valuing their time. And both of them having the same issue with running out of money and time and becoming stressed. We sat down, and what they said, one of the things they said is, we didn't know. Mm-hmm. Both of them were headed toward a brick wall and destruction. And through our training and the things that we helped guide them through, they found an internal peace that allowed them to actually transform their lives. Now, I wrote this book that I used in this case, and it says Legacy Moments, Transformation that Goes Beyond Change. So what I showed them through this process of learning I am affirmations and going in and identifying where they are, one of them ended up with getting more time so that they could spend time with their family, because they were about to lose everything that they were working hard for because they were not time conscious. The other one was about to lose everything that she had worked hard for, but it was connected to money consciousness, and because they were in deep debt. So one is coming out of debt and building savings, which is amazing, because before they didn't think, because she was poverty conscious, she was not wealth conscious. And what ended up happening is she's transforming her mind to become more wealth conscious, not money conscious, wealth conscious. And so now both of them are on the pathway to having greater success in their personal, private life. Their relationships are better, their stress levels down, and so the results will work when you work them. Well, I would use them both as great examples.
Yeah, that really is, because it's both time and money, and you wouldn't think that probably on the outside, maybe if you looked at both of those, you would go, hey, they're doing pretty good. But when you dig in and you discover, and now when you've helped them work through that, it's just a transformation. So I really like those examples. So what inspired you to, at some point, become a Napoleon Hill certified leader?
I was at an amazing job. Executive leader, all of that good stuff. And there was something missing, because I was one of those executives women that was good at a million things. I mean, I can craft, I can do this. I had all these things I could do, and I did very well. But I had not identified my definite major purpose. I was good at a lot of things, becoming really good at some things, but I was looking for what my DNA, who I was created to do and become great at. Because at this that I'm doing now, by helping people and helping them in this process of becoming greater and finding their definite sense of purpose, that's my lane, because it's the most powerful place. So I went through the Napoleon Hill instructor training and went through the process and all of that, because I was looking for something for me to find out where I was supposed to be great at. And through that process, I linked back to everything I'd been through in my life, and I've identified it, and now I'm just walking it out. It is the most revealing and powerful thing that I've ever done. And the reason for that is I actually did not start the process for others. I started it because I was searching.
Yeah.
However, I continued the process because I really didn't start to be a certified instructor. That was not the intent. However, I moved forward after I found it for me. I said, oh, my gosh, this is it. So I wanted to do it and help others, people find that for them.
Excellent. Hey, so let's wrap up with this really powerful last step, which is we've talked about budgeting time and money, and all of these concepts and principles and an overview makes sense. But now, how do we take it from idea to implementation? What are 5 steps that people can do right away to start working toward implementing budgeting time and money?
Okay, so create a clear mental picture of what they want to do, okay? What they would like, how much money they would make, or how much time they need to do something, okay? So they want to identify that. And even step 0, if I may add, is self-awareness. What are you doing now? So it's almost like a GPS that I was talking about.
Sure.
And then create the vision for where they want to go. Imagine the results of having the money and or the time. And then the third one would be decide how they're going to earn the money and what and the why for earning it. Because it's not just the how, it's the why. The why will continue us moving forward when times are rough and when everything's not going our way. So then the other thing is don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to fail and fail forward. So what you do is you fail, you learn, you adjust, you keep on going. You fail, you learn, you adjust, keep on going. And you follow that process until you win. Because failing is never final until you stop. And so those would be the 5. And then just to add this last one is run their race. Don't let society determine what wealth or is for you. The person needs to do that as an individual and not let outside forces be the reason that they want things, but go after wealth as an element of health, their time, their relationships, so that when they can sit on the swing with the person that they care about at the end of their life, or getting closer to being older and feed that older person so they're not in the store giving somebody baskets or having to have to do something that they never anticipated because they weren't prepared. So that is the last statement I would like to give. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. I love it. So, Johnny, what is the best way that anyone can reach out and connect with you and learn more about what you do?
One of the best ways to reach me is actually on my website. And the website is Johnny, JOHNNIE, Lloyd, LLOYD.com. And I'm also, you'll see my Twitter and my Facebook, and I am also on YouTube, and I have some trainings out there. So please reach out, connect, and I'm looking forward to them.
Well, Johnny, thank you so much for your time today. It was wonderful getting to know you.
Thank you, Mike. Have a great day.
You've been listening to the It's Your Fate podcast. To connect with me and pick up a copy of one of my books, please visit www.leffordfate.com. That's leffordfate.com. You've met your fate. Now let's walk into your destiny.